Our next session will talk about smart threat investigation, making the forest from the trees quickly. Welcome our speakers. Professor Yaron Wolfsthal, founder and head, Security Center of Excellence, IBM. Dennis Potashnik, senior security researcher, IBM Security Center of Excellence. And Aviv, senior security researcher at, IBM Security Center of Excellence.
Good afternoon. Welcome to our technical session in Cyber Week 2020. My name is Yaron Wolfsthal. I'm the head of IBM Cyber Security Center of Excellence, and together with me are Dennis Potashnik and Aviv, both senior researchers in our research center. We are going to present to you today one of our main research projects in our center that addresses a very important business problem, which is at the heart of the modern SOC. This is about smart threat investigation. Next slide, please. Just before we go deeper, a few words about who we are and where we are coming from. Since 2014, our center is based in Sheva, the cyber ecosystem of the South, right near Ben Gurion University, which is also our partner in many research projects. Our main mission is to be the innovation arm for the global IBM company in the area of enterprise security technology. This means that we are missioned to think into the future and provide IBM and customers with technologies that will solve the security problems and threats of tomorrow. Among other topics, we do a lot of work in AI, threat management, and cloud security. And the research project you will hear about today brings all of those together. Equally importantly, our mission is also to support the development of new security architectures for the security community. And one of them is a platform called Cloud Pak for Security, which is the foundation for the research project that we will discuss with you next. The business problem which this project addresses is the bottleneck of investigating security incidents. Investigation is a central activity in the Security Operations Center. The investigation activity was traditionally done manually, and the new capabilities we are developing make it largely automated. This is very much related to the well-known problem of the security skills shortage that we are all aware of. As you might expect from a large company, we work on this closely together with collaborators all over the world, in particularly with our twin research lab in Zurich, Switzerland. And this makes it possible for us to bring a lot of global innovation into this project. So without further ado, I will hand the floor to my colleague Aviv, who will describe in depth the problem we are working on. Aviv, please.
Thank you. So let's look at the challenges of the modern SOC. So the first and most widespread complaint is about the flood of alerts. In fact, way more alerts than the SOC could actually handle. And what's worse is that many of these alerts are false positives, and there is not a good way for the SOC to prioritize which alerts to look at first and how much time to spend on each alert. And this is mainly driven by intuition and experience, which leads us to the next pain point, which is the shortage of qualified staff. So this is an industry widespread problem. SOCs are having a hard time assigning people with domain knowledge and experience, and they end up assigning students in many cases. And these students not only don't have the domain knowledge and experience in the security realm, they don't even know about the organization that they are supposed to defend. And it's very tough to improve your processes in such an environment. And this staff has to deal with way too many tools and too many technologies. So more and more organizations are going to the cloud, and some of them are using at least one cloud provider, some and many of them using multiple cloud providers. Each of them has its own dashboard, its own monitoring, a different identity management system, different kinds of alerts and terminology. And these cloud environments are not correlated with your traditional on-prem systems, such as your SIEM systems. And you have another system where you manage ticketing, and another system when you manage your incident response. Too many screens, too many applications, too many tools. And all of this is happening in an ever-increasing threat landscape. We mentioned cloud. Cloud creates a bigger attack surface for organizations. And the COVID-19 situation sent millions of employees home, many of them connecting to the enterprise network through VPNs, some of them with their personal computers, with mobile devices. This creates a lot of opportunity for attackers, and they are leveraging this. Now, if we look at the life cycle of threat management, a great deal has been invested in monitoring, and we are able to monitor and log huge amounts of data today, way more than we could actually handle as human beings. And also in detection, both rule-based and artificial intelligence-based detections, as we mentioned, which create much more alerts than we could actually handle. And all this leads us to the investigation, which is still a manual, experience-driven, long effort, which has not been automated. It takes time. It requires you to do a lot of steps. And today, we think this is the challenge for the SOC. And this is the problem that we aim to ease. So let's think about incident investigation. It's not an easy task, right? First of all, you need to bring data from various systems, and you need to correlate this data together. And the first thing you want to understand is, okay, am I affected? Which systems have been affected? And has the worst of all happened? Did I lose any data? Because if I lost personal identifiable data, that can be a huge negative impact on my organization. But even if I put the impact aside, I also need to understand where did the attacker infiltrate from, and which systems did he pass through, and did he achieve persistence? Because if he achieved persistence, it's not enough for me to mitigate the impact, because the attacker will still be able to do damage. And during this process, it also helps me understand who is the attacker and what is he after. Is he going for my intellectual property, or is this just a ransomware which encrypted one of my PCs? This can be a huge difference in the time that I need to invest in my investigation. And understanding who is the attacker can also help us understand what kind of tools he is using and what kind of techniques, and that would help us and guide us through the investigation. It will give us a hint what to look for. So this task really demands a lot of expertise and a lot of knowledge and work. And we wanted to solve this problem. So before we talk about our research, I want to share with you that our research was held on top of IBM's Cloud Pak for Security platform. The first thing to note about IBM Cloud Pak for Security is that it runs on top of Red Hat OpenShift. So it's very easy to deploy in any setup, whether it's an on-premise environment or a hybrid cloud environment, and even multi-cloud environments. And once you have it set up, you can connect all of your security mechanisms to Cloud Pak, whether it's your SIEM systems, your EDRs, your different cloud environments, data lakes, and so on. And you get a set of platform services that help you manage all of this data in one place. Now, the most interesting part for us, for our research, was the unified data interface. So Cloud Pak enables us to query and access data from all of these different systems in one place and in a unified data model using the OpenSticks standard. So it doesn't really matter what kind of SIEM systems you have and what kind of data lakes you use. Eventually, the data looks the same. The other thing which was really useful for our research were the enrichments. So both the internal asset enrichment, like which systems belongs to whom, and which hosts have vulnerabilities on them, which hosts pose a risk in terms of do they hold sensitive data and so on. And also the external threat enrichment. And there are other platform services. And on top of those, there are the IBM built-in applications for threat management, data security, identity and access management, and SOAR. So this platform manages the whole threat management lifecycle in one place, but it's also an open ecosystem where third parties could create their own applications and access these platform services. So this is where we held our research on. And let's look at how the SOC sees security events today. They see a bunch of events. Each of them has very little to no context, and they are disconnected from one another. Many times, some of them appear in different systems. How do we reach from this state to a state where these events are correlated and make sense one with each other? I will hand over the session to Dennis, which will explain what we achieved with our research.
Thank you, Aviv. So in the following few minutes, I'll briefly take you through the research we are doing and the problems we are aiming to solve. So let's start with a trigger to our investigation. In this example, this is a single event. And as Aviv mentioned, it is represented as sticks object. Actually, everything in CloudPack for Security is sticks. Few words about sticks. Sticks stands for Structured Threat Information Expression. It's a standard form of representing threat intelligence information. But recently, there is a shift towards representation of every security-related information. So the standard representations makes it easy for us to parse and extract the artifacts. Another framework I would like to mention is a MITRE ATT&CK framework. It is globally accessible knowledge base of adversary tactics and techniques. It provides us an abstraction level over security incidents and a common language for attack description. MITRE will become handy later in this presentation. So this is a very beginning of the forensics graph. Now, once we laid out the raw data, we are adding two types of context. First is the internal context that we've mentioned. It adds additional information from within the customer environment. It is coming from various security scanners and organization catalogs that are integrated and accessible via CloudPack for Security services. Such environment context may include data classification, database classification, IP to hostname translation, network classification, metadata about the machines within the organization, like operating systems, type of asset, vulnerabilities, and so on. The second type is an external context. It comes as feeds of threat intelligence that are also integrated in CloudPack for Security. This context information contributes to the curation of graph nodes. It is also introduces new nodes in the graph. So basically, this is how we are representing the data, but it's not a real investigation yet. So the forensics investigation is one of the key aspects of our research. The paradigm we are working with is that all the data is stored in a variety of security systems. There is no single data lake that combines all the information pieces. Now, we are using federated search service in CloudPack for Security and performing the investigation via queries. During the investigation process, the graph is expanded to contain more and more relevant security events and evidences from the raw data. Now, this example on this slide is very schematic. In reality, our customers will have tons of events. Therefore, the graph can diverge very quickly, even when retrieving data for small time windows. So we have to create very focused queries and guide the investigation to a particular direction that we have the most potential to contain attack related information. Now, if it wasn't hard enough, so consider that the investigation algorithm is only exposed to the partial picture it unveiled so far. This is why we are also incorporate domain knowledge in the decision-making process and performing smart risk assessment as we go. One more thing to note is that major security events are mapped to MITRE techniques and tactics and provide additional clues on what have happened during the attack. Now, the forensic investigation will end up with a big graph of connected artifacts. Some of them are relevant, others belong to the different investigation paths that we followed and reached a dead end. So another major aspect of our research is the attack kill chain reasoning. In general, our goal is to reveal a meaningful attack story containing the impact, the initial compromise, any lateral movement, and so on. So we have to figure out what relates to the attack among the various connected artifacts in the graph. Now, this is a broad research project exploring how to solve all of the above problems. When doing so, we are investigating and using various techniques in fields of query optimization, belief networks, machine learning in general, graph theory, just to name a few. But that's not all. We are also exploring how to make the results consumable by the human being. Common ontologies such as MITRE are very helpful. On the right side of the screen, you can see a screenshot of one of our prototypes presenting the attack kill chain. Additionally, we are exploring ways of adding more metadata to the incident we are investigating, such as actor and campaign information and tools and software that are being used during the attack. Moreover, the main idea is that all of this process is done even before a SOC analyst have a chance to explore the initial incident. Thank you, and back to you, Yaron.
Thank you, Dennis and Aviv. To sum up, before we give the floor to some questions, we have presented a research project that builds on the IBM Cloud Pak for Security platform and provides a solution for the painful bottleneck of threat investigation. As you have seen, we are doing this by leveraging the platform's capabilities for consolidating data coming from different security products to support reasoning about the data. Our work builds on an attack graph from findings all across the network and classifies them properly using AI and graph algorithms, all with a very high degree of automation. At this stage in our project, we are open to collaboration with partners interested in testing out this capability so we can eventually maybe move it from research to the common practice. Thank you very much. The floor is now open to questions, and I already see a few of them coming up, which I'll read up and let Dennis and Aviv respond to. Please feel free to send more questions as we talk. So the first question I see, actually a complex one. Is your solution purpose-built for any specific environment, or is it a general purpose solution? And a follow-up question, how do you connect third-party security tools to your environment? Dennis, would you like to take that?
Yeah, definitely. So I think we mentioned it during the presentation. In general, we are building on top of the foundation of Cloud Pak for Security. We are relying on its services to connect and integrate with the different security systems that clients have. And in general, for like on our level, on the research level, this is more or less transparent. We are leveraging the capabilities of Cloud Pak for Security.
Okay.
It's worth to note that Cloud Pak utilizes the open project called Sticks Shifter, which is an open source where anybody can contribute new connectors. So even if your system is not supported currently, you can create a connector and contribute it to the open source project and have your product connected or consumable through sticks, and in this way also to Cloud Pak for security.
Okay, so this last point was about how do we connect third-party security tools to this environment. Thank you. Next question coming in. What do you see as the differentiating value of your solution? Is this the graph expansion algorithm or any fancy AI that your solution has, or what? Aviv, can you take this, please?
Yes, so definitely the graph solutions that are able to pinpoint from the big amount of data that you have to exactly where is a possible attack is one thing, and the other thing is the AI, which manages to classify and I would say make it accessible to the human in a very easily consumable way for him to understand what happened. So this is the attack, this is the possible impact, these systems were affected, these are the techniques and tactics and procedures that were used by this threat actor. And this we make the investigation accessible to the human in a very easy way.
Okay, Dennis, anything to add?
No, I think Aviv summarized it really well. Okay,
third question. How do you deal with the huge data, security events, and all that the enterprise network generates? Dennis, please.
Yeah, so this is a good question. In classical research, what we would do is we would like to connect to some data lake, or we would like to collect all the data in one place and create data sets and run some machine learning on top of that and create some models. In this project, though, we are taking another approach here. The approach here is that the data rests in the various security systems, and we are using a common query language and a common service to retrieve parts of this data. Actually, we are doing pretty much similar things that the SOC analyst would do. So we are starting from some event, and we are starting to explore the different evidences that we have in that event, and starting to see what are the other things that happened within the organization. And basically, this is based on queries. And I think that the secret sauce here is how to create those queries and how to guide the investigation to the proper places.
Okay. I see no more questions. So thank you very much for your attention today. If there's any interest in partnership and collaboration, please feel free to contact us at the contact points shown on the slide. And we look forward to seeing each of you in physical in Cyber Week of 2021. Thank you very much. Goodbye.